In this case, we have two implants on the model, 14 and 16. I now want to make two abutments in order to be able to subsequently make a zirconium framework. Individual tooth restoration, abutment, framework. 14 and 16. Implant type. Nobel Biocare Replace System 4.3. Milling unit for creation of the mesostructure. Material selection, Sirona Incaris ZI Meso. Administration concluded. The next stage is scanning. In this case, the lower jaw as the opposing jaw. Upper jaw with the two scan bodies. Buccal scan in the articulator in order to register the upper and lower jaw. A gingival mask in order to copy the emergence profile on the model. In order to do justice to the available space, I also scanned a diagnostic wax-up under Add to Catalog. Biocopy upper jaw, and the software automatically correlates the image on my preparation model. This allows me to subsequently check the available space for my abutment. When the scan is complete, I click on Model. The next step is buccal registration. For this, I move the buccal scan to the respective jaw using drag and drop. The software correlates the image automatically. In the following stage, I check the model contacts. Good contacts, both distally and mesially. Model axis alignment. Here, I determine the alignment in my quadrants mesially and distally, as well as the alignment in the articulator. To this end, I use the settings from the articulator and click on OK. In a second step, I determine the area of my gingival mask for 16, which is highlighted yellow. Double-click to start, click once to fix, and click twice to end. If the wrong area has been cut out, double-click, and the scan body is reactivated. I then determine the scan body. I double-click on the tip, and the emergent shoulder of the abutment is automatically determined. Here, too, this can also be changed. Double-click to activate, click once to fix, and click twice to end. I do the same for 14. Double-click to start, double-click to end. Determine the scan body. Change the line of the emergence profile should this not be anatomically correct. And specify the restoration axes. As, in this case, it would not be expedient to specify the restoration axis for an abutment, I will now set this symmetrically. To do this, I activate the Grouping tool. Activate Tooth 16 and can now align both implant axes parallel to each other. For this, I take note of my proximal contacts and again have the option of switching my wax-up to transparent in order to rule out possible sources of errors. If I am satisfied with the insertion axis, I confirm with OK. The yellow arrow shows the alignment of my abutment, and the red dotted line is the alignment of my implant axis. I then determine the parameters of my abutment. In terms of the minimum wall thicknesses, both radially and occlusally, I observe the material manufacturer's recommendations. I leave the gingival depth on the line which I have just drawn, should pressure on the gingiva be desired. And the shoulder width for the abutment. And the telescope angle. I confirm with OK. And get a first proposal from the software which I can form using the various tools. To start off with, I reactivate my wax-up and see that the available space is not optimal. Right-click, Form tool to create a little space occlusally. So that there are no restrictions for my framework later on. I do the same for 16. Again, I create space occlusally as per the conditions, anatomically in a circular shape. Here too, I create space occlusally. In order to make correct use of the available space, it can be seen here that the minimum wall thickness has been undercut. I now click on Scaling and can design the abutment to be slightly thicker on the shoulder in the selected area, i.e., I reduce the shoulder. I perform the same checks for 14. Here, the minimum wall thickness is slightly undercut and I rebuild the material somewhat. I now deactivate my wax-up and activate my gingival mask and could now place my abutment supra-gingivally to make cementation easier for the dentist. Of course, I can also change my emergence profile. For this, I go to the trimmed model in order to only show the trimmed stump, and can now apply some more material or polish the tooth. This is done with the plus and minus form tool or with the circular shape tool. And I can then apply slightly more pressure to the gingiva. If I am satisfied with the anatomy, I click on Mill and am taken to the milling preview with the pre-cut hole for the screw and the sprue location. The same is done for 16. Change the size of the instrument and build up the pressure on the gingiva. To check the pressure on the gingiva, I render my gingiva slightly transparent and view the areas in which the pressure has been increased or is still insufficient. Should I be satisfied, I go to the milling preview. The zirconium block and activate milling.